Hey guys, we're waiting on people. My power went out. Of course it went out. I just started incubating eggs. Hey, people are coming in. Thank you, Verna. All right. It says we have 3 people, but there's more than 3 people commenting. We're waiting. All right. We're doing roll call, huh? People are starting to trickle in. Thanks for hanging on, guys. Oh, the chat closed before you got back? Okay. Okay, thank you, Verna. Everybody's saying hi again. 2.0. Ed says, you guys in California love your rolling blackouts, LOL. You know, this is the length of most power outages is just a few seconds. Like it was maybe a few minutes, and then it took a while for the internet to get back up and all that. And so that's typical. I mean, we don't have it a lot, but it does happen. So yeah. Steve says, greetings, I'm alive, just like Katrina. Hello. This is Andy Rabbit. Now I gotta go do my likes all over again, Steve. Oh, thank you. Ed says I posted she started a new live. Thank you. I put something in the community post once this started, so hopefully people are finding it. Freezing off and on. All right. You guys can go to the settings and decrease the quality of the video. That might help if it's having interesting. Yeah. So hopefully it's okay. Erica says, I enrolled in Quail University last night on chapter 6. Awesome. Awesome. Fine now. Okay. Thank you, Verna. That is awesome. I hope you're enjoying it. Very good. Steve says, hey, don't forget to like this one too. All right. So I don't know what we were talking about when things went down. So obviously I can't see your guys's comments that you had before. So if I hadn't gotten to them yet, I don't see them. So you're gonna have to do it again. Yeah. So I mean, I should have expected a power outage by now. Every time I start incubating, I have a power outage, right? Oh boy. Oh, Brooke says cute strawberry pick. Yeah, that was one of my options that I didn't use for my thumbnail for today's video. So for the weekend review. Yeah, the strawberries, guys. Grow your own strawberries. They are so delicious, and there's no white in the middle. That's what I was showing on that picture. No white. Awesome. PJ says, I'm putting you on the TV next time I get a phone call. Oh, witch doctors have found it. Welcome. No, we do not have a storm. It is cloudy. It's a little bit windy. I have no idea why any of that happened. Oh, PG and out. The power was restored. I wonder if it will tell us what happened. It's from PG&E. It's a power company. Let's see. Oh no, it doesn't say why. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't know what happened. No storm. It's breezy out. It's not windy. Maybe there's a car accident or something. I don't know. We are on the same grid as the police station, so usually it's pretty quick. And I believe I've heard we're on the same grid as a hospital, but I don't know if that's true or not. Yeah. Yep. Verna says, I am planting the collard tomorrow, same day as lockdown. Yay! Only one date to keep track of. Hey, Psycho Words here. Welcome. Cha-ching. Cha-ching. I don't know what that's in reference to. But welcome, welcome. I hope you guys are doing good. I hope Nevada's treating you well. Erica says, haven't actually learned much yet, but only because I have been binge watching everyone's videos. You know, it's organized. So Erica just got to chapter 6 on Quail University, and there's a lot of information that if you are binge watching videos, then you should already know, but it's in an organized way that you can go back and say, okay, what was this? How did I do that? What options are there? And it's a really well put together course. So yeah, if you guys haven't done it yet, I do have a affiliate link. I think we're gonna put it in there earlier for Quail University. Yeah. Steve says she better not be having a storm. We've had enough of her weather. It wasn't my weather that made Florida have 25 inches of rain in 24 hours. That was crazy. Yeah, don't stop blaming things on me. JJ says starlings love strawberries. I have to cage mine. Starlings are just these little devils. There was like 12 of them that were released at a Shakespearean festival in New England, and they have been very populous and spread all the way over to this coast. And they are mean, nasty birds. They're very pretty, but they're mean and nasty, and they kill all the birds that are cavity nesters or like nesting bluebirds, or the ones that nest in nest boxes or in cavities of trees. They like to go in there and just kill them and take their nests over. So as pretty as they are nasty, and not native to US. Yeah, Erica says the downloads are great though. Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's definitely worth the time, Erica. Steve says, yep. They forgot to pay their power bill? No, not quite. Definitely worth it. I'm loving it, Erica says. Yes. Vay's Place says, Brooke, it is the same with Duke Energy. They raised my monthly rate from $129 a month to $249 a month. Wow. That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. And Ed's saying that his only 170. I mean, ours is based on usage plus a connection fee or whatever. I have solar, but I don't have a battery because the battery's like $17,000. And so I get basically credit for that. Yeah. Andy Rabbit says chocolate is a brown color, otter is markings, white under chin and belly, a pretty rabbit. Okay, that makes sense. I'll take a fast video of him tomorrow and post it on my channel for you to see him. Awesome. Yeah, no, I didn't know what otter meant, and that makes sense. That's the coloring of otters. Which doctor says our power bill has doubled in Vegas too. Yeah, I got my solar in, I think it was 2021, and I was just like, I wasn't gonna get it until they had the battery at a decent price, but that was never going to happen. And I'm like, I might as well just lock in this rate, because what happens when you get solar is you lock in a rate. Supposedly, we'll see if they back out on that, but yeah. Yep. I also know, so I have very little stocks in PG&E that my grandpa got me when I was a baby, and it's not worth anything. but I know I didn't claim anything on my taxes for that this year because PG&E didn't make any money. So that tells you something. Tells you they're spending too much money cleaning up after their fires is what it tells you. Yeah. Brooke says, I asked previously before I got disconnected, what do you feed your garden because it's so lush and gigantic? Fish or granular scratching? My garden? Most of the time I don't feed it anything. I did start doing the rabbit manure, and that is really good. You can just put that straight on the bed, and what I like to do is put that on there and then have it rain in. Now we only get rain in the winter, so that's the only time I've been doing it is in the winter. And if you think about the way Mother Nature works, Mother Nature drops all the leaves in the fall. Over winter it sits and decomposes and becomes the fertilizer of the earth for the next growing season. So I think it makes sense. There's a lot of people who fertilize in the spring and don't really do that very much. When I redo a bed, or if I'm adding things to a bed, I'll add compost. Worm castings is a really, really rich nutrition source. The only thing with that is the worms don't eat seeds. So often you're going to get tomatoes popping up everywhere. So, and that's fine. Just know that that's going to happen. So if you planted tomatoes in a certain area, maybe don't use your own worm castings, or maybe, wait until those tomatoes are bigger so you can pluck out the other ones if you're trying to keep track of varieties. But worm castings is what I use, rabbit poop. And then I do add azomite to my beds. Now, azomite is something that, it's a rock dust, and I get it off of Amazon. It comes in like 40 or 50 pound bags of dust. Basically, it's powdered rock. And what that does is it adds micronutrients to it. So if you think about the nutrients of a radish or nutrients of a carrot, or like they say, oh, you should eat this for this nutrient content. Well, that nutrient content has to come from somewhere, right? And if you're growing in dead soil, or you're growing in soil that has been depleted, then that nutrient won't get into your food. So it's time to think about instead of you are what you eat, right? People say that you are what you eat. It's not true. You are what you eats, right? So those micronutrients are not going to get into you if they can't get into the plant. So I do add, when I do a new bed, the things that I typically add are, compost and a planting mix, just like a bag planting mix, compost, worm castings. I do add bat guano, blood meal. I haven't added blood meal because I do add, when I process animals, I thin that down, thin the blood down with lots of water, and use that because that's basically blood meal, right? It's liquid blood meal. And then rock phosphorus and azomite. So the thing with everything there except for the rocks, the plants can take up. For the rock stuff, the rock dust, the azomite, the rock phosphorus, for that to be taken up by the plants, it's a rock. So plants don't eat rocks, as much as we want them to. But what you put in this year is going to benefit the next year and the year after that, and possibly into a third year. So if you're putting just a little bit on the garden every time, then the microbes and even the little like pill bugs and stuff, they're going to be breaking down some of that, and their waste that they leave behind makes it bioavailable for the plant, which makes it bioavailable to us. So you're looking at a couple year cycle. I would say starting a new bed is a really good thing. And I have a couple different videos on doing that, of what I do, what I put it in. And it also how long you have a bed, the better it's going to get, right? So I would say at about 5 years, so 3 to 5 years is when your bed is going to be really, really booming. And then after that, it's just going to keep on getting better. But it takes a while for those initial components to like break down and combine and start to get into your plants. So I think that that is one thing to think about. The other thing is like in the front yard. If you're talking about my front yard, I do have water in now. I didn't have water in a lot of it for a while. Some of it I still don't water, but I have bark chips, or not bark chips. I have wood chips. So same thing. I have my wood chip pathway. I don't put it as deep, but there's like that much wood chip, and that is, it creates a really good humus layer, and it's really rich, and it takes time for that to break down. So again, it's a time thing where you have to wait for these components to break down, and then you have good soil. So my whole front yard, I should show you guys pictures of this at some point. My whole front yard used to be topiary shrubs. When I moved in, it was topiary shrubs and lava rock, 4 inches of lava rock, like the red lava rock with plastic underneath. That's what the front yard was. So everything in the front, like that was dead. That was dirt. It was not soil. There was nothing living in that besides these topiary shrubs. And through the years, I've put mostly wood chips in the front, but I've put some different things out there, and it starts to break down and get incorporated. And then another thing to think about is the connectivity of everything. So with mycorrhizae, so I don't add mycorrhizae into a bed. I add it in when I plant transplants. I add it to the plant and put it in. And mycorrhizae exists in nature. It exists in your bed if they're established. And so you might not need that. And then you might not, I mean, they'll be fine without it. But what mycorrhizae does is it's a fungus that is, you've heard of the mycorrhizal network. So the fungus actually, it can get into tinier spaces between the crevices of the soil that a root cannot get to. So what it does is it gets the photosynthesis stuff happens from the plant. It gets the sugars, and that gives it to the fungus, and then the fungus in return goes out and finds the nutrients in the soil and brings it back to the plant, basically. And what they found is that they can talk. The plants can talk to each other through this fungal network and say, hey, I need some of this over here. I need some of this over here. And the fungus will actually, they shuttle things around. So having things complete and having that introduced is good. And then when you think about that and you say, okay, these plants are talking to each other underground through this fungal network. If you haven't watched it already, go on YouTube and look up what plants talk about. And that's a wonderful little film. It's old. And I think it's like the public broadcasting or PBS or something like that nature. It's one of those channels. But look that up, and so you can internalize like, okay, we have this fungal network, but what happens when you plant? A lot of people churn things over. The only thing I do that with is if it's a root crop, because you have to dig to get them out. But other than that, I don't do anything to the bed. I will cut if something is dead or needs to die. I will cut it at the base of by the soil, and I won't rip it out, because once you rip things out, if you think about all these networks, think of it as a multi-level city inside the ground. if you're ripping plants out and you're churning things over and doing like the typical way of farming, then you are making an earthquake for these microbes and these fungus and all of these things. You're making a gigantic problem for them, and they have to work on rebuilding the roads and rebuilding the schools and rebuilding the, you know, whatever, before they help your plants, because they have to say, okay, well, how do we connect if we don't, you know, there's this big boulder in the way. So I think soil health is what to concentrate on, and that includes adding things like rabbit manure, composted quail manure. I just started adding the composted stuff from the racken house, the rabbits and chickens, on part of it, but I did make that mistake and put on fresh, and nothing grew there, so it was too much nitrogen. So I have those bags in the garage just waiting, and I'll put them on, you know, later. So I hope that helps. The other thing is with the trees, they have, so with the wood chips, if you let wood chips sit in place and you turn it over, and you'll see this in some of the manure. I'm doing, you know, dealing with manure videos. But when you turn the wood chips over, you'll see something white, and that the white stuff there is the mycorrhizae. So that actually just happens when you have wood chips. You know, it happens when you have a moist, woody environment. And so if you let that sit there, then that will just happen, and things will be healthier. So I hope that we took a dive, Brooke. Let me know if there's any follow up with that. Yeah, I have done the fish emulsion. I tend not to. I'm not good at fertilizing. I'm not. I have also done in the past, and I need to do this again because I do think it would help, do foliar feed for composting with comfrey tea. And so I have done that, where you basically cut up a bunch of comfrey leaves, shove it in a bucket, put water over it, put something heavy on it so all the leaves are underwater, put a lid on it, set it aside for however long you want to. I think it can take 6 weeks. I've done it for several months because I forgot. And then you open it up and gag because it's nasty. You can also, but it works. You water it down and then use as a foliar feed. And then you can also do that. I've heard of people doing that with weeds, just regular, you know, whatever they weed out of their garden, they put it in a bucket with water and basically makes this tea extract. Yeah. Good question. All right. We'll see if there's any follow-up. I go back up. My goodness, you guys are talkative still. JJ says starlings are mockingbirds too. So if they nest next to your window, don't cuss because they'll be repeating what you say. Oh yeah, they're too smart for their own good. Verna says I'm getting a hold of the utility commission this week. Good luck. Good luck. Yeah, that's a lot. Ed says no, the power company forgot to pay their power bill. Yeah, maybe. I know they didn't make any money. PJ says my power bill doubled as well. Wow. Yeah, power hasn't doubled. Gas has gone up. Well, my power hasn't doubled. Power has gone up significantly, but I have the solar, so that offsets some. So yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Kelly says, sweet Andy, I'll be looking. Awesome. JJ says, yes, one of my neighbors are only use the small solar lights. Electricity is getting expensive. Absolutely. And I know here we have PG&E, and they've been responsible or been deemed responsible for several wildflowers and all of those things that go with that, like destruction of property and life and you know, we're already paying fees for them to maintain lines that they don't maintain. We found out that when in San Bruno several years ago, when there was that explosion, like 8 or 9 houses just were gone and people died, we found out that they don't have blueprints of everything that's underground, and that was scary. Yeah, and I know that they have since pressure tested everything and supposedly know where everything is, but that took an effort. It took an expensive effort. Yeah. PJ says, you need goats. I don't need goats right now. I don't have goat places. Why do I need goats? Because they're cute? I have such a small property, PJ. Steve says, my power company makes all the power for all the neighboring states, Tennessee Valley. Thank you, President Roosevelt. And he's saying cool to Brooke. Cycle Ward says, we are looking for a new home in Tennessee right now. I knew you guys were looking. You still looking, huh? Looking for the perfect place? Yeah. Verna says, that is what I said, Katrina. Cooey and rabbit poo is what you should fertilize with. Yep. And that's a cold manure. Quail and chicken is a hot manure. Goats is a cold manure too. Maybe that's why she's saying I need that. I have rabbit poop. Not short of that. Andy Rabbit says, I'll also show my black otter Rex too. Black otter is gorgeous. Awesome. JJ says, I collect the leaves and throw them in the garden in the fall instead of taking them for street cleanup. And that is what you should be doing. I mean, people really would have much more healthy lawns if they left leaves on their lawn, or didn't collect the clippings, and that just let that compost in place. And yeah, it would have a lot better soil, a lot more carbon sequestration and all of that. So yeah. Verna says, worm casting tea is good. No worry about seeds. True. Yeah, that is also true. I did that once. And I need to do it again. Like, you guys need to be on me about fertilizing, I guess, because I don't remind myself. Yeah, I have done compost tea with the worm castings, and the way you do that is you have a bucket and you put a bubbler in it, which is, I just got an aquarium bubbler and did that. And you add some amount of molasses as the sugar for them to breed off of, and start it up, do 24 hours, and then you can use it on your garden. And you can do that every day if you want to do. That might be too much, but yeah, it's a pretty cheap way to do that. But just spreading out the castings works too. You do get more uneven fertilization that way, but that's okay. Brooke says, I put 5 inches of rabbit poo on veggie garden bed. Everything is growing great so far. Awesome. Verna says, Brooke, I did that with the cooey poo in my outside pots. That is where it's at. Where do you get rock dust from? So any garden store will have what's called rock phosphate. And that is from a garden, like any garden store will have that. Some garden stores will have, there's a couple different things you can get. It's basically rock dust. If you go in and ask for rock dust, people may or may not know what you're talking about. If they know their stuff, they don't know what you're talking about. I got azomite online. It is a big bag. It is a heavy bag, but I mean, it's rock dust, so it's going to last forever. It doesn't have an expiration date, right? And I got that on Amazon. So yeah, and it's azomite, AZOMITE, and it stands for something. A to Z of minerals, trace minerals, something like that. Yeah, that's where I get it. JJ says, sweet. That alone is worth having a rabbit or two. I'm just not a rabbit person. So yeah, so we had some practice rabbits. I wasn't ready for meat rabbits. I was like, I need to practice. And so we got some little rabbits, and there's no need to practice, guys. If you want to do meat rabbits or you think you want to do meat rabbits, just get meat rabbits. But when I was ready for meat rabbits, I was like, okay, I need to pass these along to someone. And there was a guy who was just starting an organic farm. And so they went to live with him. And he actually also, I called him when we had that stray rabbit that came that didn't belong to anybody. Somebody dumped a rabbit and a kitten in the alleyway on the other side. But I called him like, do you want a rabbit? Because no one wants this rabbit. And I'm like, I don't know what kind. I didn't know what kind it was. It looked like a pet rabbit, but dumped. And he came and got him. And so they are eating organic food to poop organic poop to keep this organic farm going. So yeah, and they are definitely a source of that. So yeah, I mean, if you're not going to have them as meat, they make good pets. I mean, my breeders are all, pet worthy. They're good. Andy Rabbit says, my pots are full of rabbit poop. Aaron, welcome back, Aaron. I walked into a poop conversation. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And you love it, right? You're with good peeps here. Steve says, Lowe's, Home Depot, Tractor Supply, Amazon all have it. More places too. Yeah, so they have it, but it's going to be really, like, if you get rock dust in like a thing this big, it's going to be really expensive. So if you know you're going to use it over time and you can afford to get a bigger bag, I mean, I would recommend Azomite. There are other ones too. And I mean, there's some that have different types of minerals in them and all of that, but the point is it's never going to be available to you unless it is already in the substrate that you're growing in. Right. I mean, I worked for a soils lab for a couple summers or a couple falls. I think it was in the fall. It was like a seasonal thing. And we would come up with questions for the boss man every day, just because we were like, we're going to stump him one day. And we never did. He knew everything. And we said, why do bananas have so much potassium? And he said, it's because the banana plantations grow in areas high with mica. Mica is a mineral in the soil. So there you go. There's your answer there. But the point is, it's not going to be in the food unless it comes from somewhere. And that somewhere is the soil. Yeah. Vase Place is laughing at Aaron. A taste of quail con since quail poo. JJ says, I hate pill bugs. We have too many of them. They can be good and they can be destructive. They are really good decomposition workers, but they also can be destructive. Quail poop has to be the worst smell. Aaron, have you ever had potatoes rot in your house? I'm going to have to say that might be worse. Yeah. Wet poo dry poo, different. Wet poo is different, but I think probably potatoes that have rotted and gone squishy. Mud stinks too. Not our mud. Hey, it looks like Verna caught a bad guy. Thank you, Verna. Oh, yeah, you don't want to know what they're talking about, Verna. I think they know it. I don't know what they asked, but that's people who think they're cats. Brooke says, Katrina, you are so smart. I know tons about gardening and all, but I seem to always learn something new from you. Thank you, Brooke. I've learned so many things because I'm interested in so many things. And yeah. Yeah. JJ says, like a huge mini subway system. Exactly. Brooke says, JJ, I use Sluggo plus no more pills or earwigs. The best. And that's the one that's safe for pets, right? Yeah. Oh, you're allergic to earwigs. Interesting. I mean, don't eat them. Allergic to earwigs. I've not heard of that. Well, stay away from them. JJ says, I will look into it. Is it biodegradable? Yeah, I know nothing about the Sluggo except for I think it's safe to use around animals. They destroy the garden if you don't get them. The earwigs. So I've heard about wrapping up newspaper and leaving it out, and I tried it once, but I only had earwig issues once. One year, for some reason, they just attacked the peach tree, and what they did is they took bites. The peaches were hanging, and what they did is they took bite from the top, like where the attachment point is, and then they like, oh, this peach is gonna drop now, and it has a hole in it, and you know, whatever is happening with that. I don't know what happened, but I was looking up earwig control, and they're talking about wrapping newspaper around the tree and then taking it off, and that's where all the animals are going to be, or I don't know. I know the only thing I know that attracts earwigs. I'm a field biologist and have put up many camera traps, and almost every single camera trap I've put up has had earwigs climb up under it. So something about camera traps, I don't know if it's the electric, if it's plastic, I don't know what about it, but yeah, camera trap is not like a camera trap is an automatic camera where it's a motion sensor camera. Yeah. All right. Base Place. Oh, is that the What Plants Talk About? I highly recommend watching that, and it is really, really interesting. And they're actually doing the lady in the forest. You'll know what I'm talking about when you watch it. She's actually done more research since then that has been pretty cool. Yeah. Callie is talking to JJ with the Sluggo. Says yes, small and granular, use every month. Ed says plants do talk. I posted an article. I read about it. Yeah, they do. They do. Oh, let me go back up. You guys jumped. Where are you? All right. The Vase Place says, Brooke, that's why I don't tolerate them, because I'm allergic to them. Oh, they bite you. Oh, a bad reaction. I'm sorry. Ed's making lunch. Earrings is attracted to dead vegetation. That's true, but they also ate the tops of my peaches. So I saw them do it finally. I was like, what the heck is taking little tiny bites right by the attachment point of the peaches? Yeah. Brooke says, Katrina, I flipped my rabbit deep litter and tons of mycorrhizae. So neat. Then to the garden. Absolutely. Yep. That is, you grow your own. You can buy it or you can grow your own. If you buy it, what happens is you can check and see how many different species there are in it. And there are specific species that work well with tomatoes or work well with, these other things. Like each type works well with different things. So that's why I get it. But yeah, it's awesome when you grow it yourself. Vase Place says they're also attracted to some plants. Yep. Ants love okra. Goodness. Andy Rabbit says, in the fall, when the leaves fall, there are thousands of them around here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because they're underneath getting the detritus. Duke Energy does gas and electric. Yeah, PG&E does gas and electric, but we have it separate on the bill. I mean, it's one bill, but we have it separated on the bill. Yeah. PJ says, yes, goats are cute. Steve wants goats. Andy wants mini goats. Steve says, but I have to get a place to put my shed to live on first. Eric is agreeing. Goats are very cute. Pygmy goats. PJ's pygmy goats. Goodness. Grow food, not lawns. Exactly, Verna. The whole garden in the back was a lawn when I got the house. It was a lawn with 2 humongous incense cedars, which should not grow in Gilroy. They're supposed to grow in the mountains, and they had been topped at one point, and they were like 80 feet tall, so they're like popsicles sticking up, and then lawn underneath, and now there's a garden. So much better. Brooke says, Andy, the earwigs start to have babies in spring and come out and eat all the new growth and seedlings, destroy my peas and beans. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Andy says, Verna, have you figured out what sex the brown with red eye one is? Yeah, I'm gonna guess you're talking about Cooey. And she says, not yet. Have to check tomorrow. Your reminder. I don't ever see earwigs in the spring here. Brooke says, Vey, I think matting low growing thyme, chamomile, Croatian mint, and other herbs in place of grass is delicious to step on. Yes, that is true. You can get fruiting ground cover. That is true. Yeah, Andy, azomite. It's a brand name. It A2Z of minerals, something trace something. Like it stands for something. Ed says, I bet if you look on the bag of rock dust, it has expiration date. You know, I've seen salt with expiration date, so yeah. Yeah, it's a brand name, not an abbreviation. So it is a brand name, but it does stand for, their brand name stands for something. And it's A2, I know it's A2Z. AZ is A to Z. And minerals and trace elements, I think is what it is. I don't know what the O or the I is. But anyway, it does stand for something. Hey, Vicky's here. Hi, Vicky. Verna, call and complain about your energy bill if they did a huge increase on you. Get your neighbors to call and complain. It can help. It can. Yeah. Kelly says, Ed, really like it is active like cultures. Oh, yeah, the rock. No. Oh, Verna put a link for azomite. Awesome. Vicky says, I have about 30 pounds of 17% layer mash I bagged in Ziplocs December 2021. Should I dump it? It's pretty old. I would say, is it moldy? If it's not moldy, you might try it on a small, try it to a small one. Is it, wait a minute. It's already mash, like it's already has water in it. If that's the case, I would dump it. If it's just the raw stuff and it's dry, I would use it. I would try it and see if they like it and go from there. But if it's moldy or if it's already wet, I wouldn't use it. Yeah. Yeah, Verna's saying the same thing. To use it. Steve says feed typically can only be stored for about 4 months. I'd get fresh. Yeah, so I mean, it kind of runs into what are the issues from storing it, and the issues are: is it going bad? Like, has it gone rancid? If it smells rancid, I wouldn't use it. If it's moldy, I wouldn't use it. But I think the expiration dates, it depends what's in it. Smell it, and then maybe try it. Yeah, I don't use that, but that would be what I would do. And if it smells rancid, I wouldn't give it to them. Melik is here. Hello, I support you. Thank you. Welcome. Also says, I'm in your live. I just support you. My subscribe is okay. Well, thank you for subscribing. Thank you. Vicky says, thanks for the feedback. It's really good Kanichu mash, but it's 18 months old. Yeah, it's I would smell it, and if it doesn't smell rancid and it doesn't have mold and it's not already wet, I would try it. That's just me. Don't blame me if something happens. Yeah. Khalid Mohammed is laughing at somebody. Welcome. And if I said your name wrong, which I probably did, please tell me how to say it. Oops, and you guys just jumped. Okay. Vaseplace says, as long as you do not see any signs of mold, it should be good. Yep. And Steve says, just inspect it carefully for mold and insects. Yeah. I don't know that insects would be that much of an issue unless it's like a lot of frass or something. Vicky says, hi, Verna, I suspect at least half got bugs, those little beetle weevil things. Andy says, I would maybe mix it with newer feed if it makes you feel better too. And they saying get rid of it if it's eaten already. Yeah. Or put it in the deep freezer for a couple weeks and then feed to the birds. Yeah, I mean, bugs aren't bad for birds to eat, but it's getting them in other places that would be a bad thing. So I think putting it in the freezer would be a good idea. Vicky says, I'll see if the chickens are interested. I don't want to short my quail on important nutrients, and the chickens get to eat bugs and grass around the yard. They get plenty. So they'll have some choice. Okay. I love the smell advice. Thank you. Yep. Okay. Lost sound. Okay. I'm here. I'm here. Yeah. Wow. So, yeah. So I hope our discussion on the mycorrhizae and the soil health was good. My topic was going to be gardening something, and we already talked about gardening something, so we're good. But if there's questions about that and how to kind of look at that, let me know. Berna says, hey, Katrina, you went over 2 hours. You're getting as bad as me. Hey, we had a pause and you guys kept on talking. No, I appreciate you guys being here. And yeah, I'm going to give you guys homework for does the timer start over when she restarted? Steve, I still have my exercises to do and dinner to do. And Berna's egging you on. JJ says extremely interesting. Yeah, soil is extremely interesting, and we're just finding more and more out about it. And I would say, like, if you guys have homework, here's what I'm going to do. Next week's topic is going to be all about what plants talk about, and you 11 people already know that, and we'll see. And we'll see. We can talk about that as a discussion next week. Let's do that. So what plants talk about? I wonder if I can find it. I'll find the. Oh, I think Verna put the link earlier, but it's what plants talk about. It's like an hour. Let's see. There's a couple different links you could do, but if you right click that link, plants, not plant. So if you click on that link, if you right click on it and open a new tab, that will save that for you and you can watch it. But I think the things that they're discovering are quite amazing. And this is an old video. This is pretty old. So there's your homework. You get homework. 10 here in Central. Yeah. JJ says I'm sitting in the back of the classroom on purpose. Oh. Yeah, it is really amazing, Andy. It is. All right, guys. I think that's going to be it. I mean, Verna's not back yet. Maybe wait for her. So things to add to your garden. If you have rabbit poop or cuy poop or goat poop or llama poop or alpaca poop or what else is it called manure? Anybody know? Then you can put that directly on your garden. If you have quail poop or chicken poop, that does need to be composted. It takes about 6 months to compost. If you're doing deep litter, it's going to, if you do deep litter and your animals are still there, you should recognize, which I didn't last year, recognize that some of that is fresh. It's not all composted enough to use on your garden. So it probably is composted enough to use underneath fruit trees, put it away from the trunk a little bit, but it's probably not enough to, not composted down enough to use in your garden yet. So bag it up, sift it out, bag it up and let it sit for a little bit, or put it in a pile somewhere and let it sit for a little bit and let it continue to break down. And then other things to add is blood meal, or if you process animals, save the blood, thin it out with water the bed with that, and that will help. Bat guano has some really good stuff in it. If you're collecting this yourself, have your rabies shot. If you're buying it at the store, you should be good. And then rock phosphorus or rock dust, something like azomite or other rock dust. There are others. Those are all good things to add to the garden. So there you go. All right. Vaseplay says, I am saving blood when I harvest animals and going to put in the freeze dryer to make my own blood meal. Awesome. Yeah, because that way is the so you'll have it like on demand when you want it, when you want to use it. Yeah. So like this weekend we processed the quail. I have not used the blood yet, but I have used, we trade out the water after 24 hours for the ice bath, and that water went into the green stalks, and I'm sure they are loving it. Yeah. So compost the compost. Exactly. It has to be done. It has to be done, Steve. Yeah, good idea, Verna. Yep, I think so. For the blood. JJ says, I'm not chasing bats after that pandemic. Yeah, you can buy it from the store or don't use it at all. I was kind of joking, but you can get rabies vaccinated for free if your insurance pays for vaccines. They'll pay for that. They should. And Andy's laughing at you. Steve says, just don't eat the bats. No Alice Cooper here, huh? Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. Thank you for joining on the second one tonight. And we will see you next week. Next week, I may or may not have to have a short live. It's going to depend. Yeah. Oh, Ozzy did that? It wasn't Alice? I don't know. I'm not that old. Yeah, so next week I may or may not have to have a short live. It's going to depend on if I am needed for a work thing. And hopefully I'm not needed and we can chat. JJ says, thank you, Kat. Always great as always. You're welcome. Have a blessed night, everyone, from Verna. Have a great night. Witch Doctor says, good night. Good night. Oh, Alice was a snake. Ozzy bit the bat. Okay. I not keeping my rock stars straight. Thanks, Steve. Erica says, good night. Going back to university. Awesome. And the thing is, I know you're binging right now. You're in binge mode, so it's okay to binge, but I would say on the longer ones, go back later and look at them, because you might pick up things you're not picking up now and retaining, because when you binge, you kind of get the points, and then you can get the more specifics if you look at it again. Yeah. Andy Rabbit says, good night, all. Good night. JJ says, good night, everyone. Enjoy the company. Good night. Steve. Always a jokester. Oh boy. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming on the second one and dealing with my power outage. And we will talk to you next Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And it might be short. So Enjoy the day, enjoy the week, and we will see you later. Good night.